it's amazing to me how time flies. And here we are on the brink of an end to another season. I know, shaking our heads just like, how did this happen?
Year went by
really fast.
And from Knoxville to here, it went like overnight.
And so we get to the end of the year, and the question is, what's everyone doing? What are you doing next year? What's going on? How's it going? We Tuesday on our show, we had Seth Bergman on, and man, he sounds like some big plans there.
Yeah.
And very exciting stuff. And we had Logan Schuart on, and of course with Bobby Allen, I mean,
they're ready to go tomorrow.
Getting ready to go to tomorrow to Volusia. You know, I mean, they got to get down, got to be ready, got to be set, got to be better. So, but as life and the travels and time goes on, some drivers are a little further along in their careers. And last year at this time, we were not sure. We were saying goodbye to Daryn Pittman as a racer full time. We knew we were saying goodbye full time. We didn't know what that meant. We've been in the same situation with Shane Stewart as well.
Yeah.
Shane had a definitive project, Port City Raceway, which, by the way, everything I hear, and I'm not shocked at this at all. Everything I hear, Shane Stewart is just absolutely knocking it out there.
Oh, and by the way, he's here.
He's here this weekend running. That's right, exactly. Getting Bernie's car.
Yeah.
Woo, man, that's going to be good. That's going to be good. You get Shane Stewart at a race, you know it's good. So we have Shane, and we know what he's doing. Darren, there was a false start there at one time, and something fell through during the Chili Bowl, and this, that, and the other thing, and he's back, and he's not back, and everything. But it has settled into a really, really, seemingly a nice spot for Darren and Mandy and the girl. I mean, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Daryn Pittman here today. She is Erin Evernham. I am Steve Post, and this is Wing Nation, presented by Daryn and DRF Racing Oils. And yeah, I always enjoy my visits with Daryn, and I'm confident that I'll enjoy the visit we have coming up here. So before we get to that, though, let's take a listen and look to what happened Saturday night. The Texas Outlaw Nationals at Mesquite, the Devil's Bowl, if you will. Ayrton Jennington looking for that first win. Carson Macedo closing in on him slowly, and then objects in the mirror soon come out the windshield. This is Logan Schuart. Johnny Gibson with the call on Dirt Vision.
And now for the Dryden death-defying move of the week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Macedo to the inside of Ayrton Jennington. Can he make the move for the lead? He can. And now Logan Schuart around Macedo for second. Logan Schuart up to second now, and stalking leader Ayrton Jennington. Schuart started eighth and now makes the move for the lead out of turn number 4. Logan Schuart, the leader on lap 24.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Death, the official death of the world of outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
For decades, Dryden Lubricants has been made in America and made to last, paving the way on our highways, in our fields, and on the production line. Today, Dryden offers a complete line of engine oils, greases, hydraulic and transmission fluids, and diesel exhaust fluid. If you want greater performance and protection for your critical engines and equipment, go to Dryden.com. Dryden, American owned and operated, and a proud supporter of racing and race fans everywhere. Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTires.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the tire tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTires.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength. Wing Nation, presented by Dryden and DRF Racing Oils. Let's go right to the Sage Fruit Hotline. Joining us is Daryn Pittman. Hello, Daryn. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Hey, Steve. How are we doing? Thanks for having me on.
We're doing good. Daryn, I started the show here, and I think it was probably before we caught up with you. I said, we get to the end of the year. Some guys are certain. Some guys are optimistic. Some guys have no idea what the future looks like. And I think a year or two ago, you were in that boat. How have things gone since that uncertain time period that we chatted with you a year or two ago?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a little bit change in that time frame. There's been a lot of change in the last 6-7 months, but it's really nice to definitely this time last year I was there was a lot of uncertainty in our lives as the Pittman family. And so, yeah, it's, taken a pretty significant turn. And, I feel like I'm very confident that has taken a turn, for the better, and very happy with the decisions that we've made and the life that, we've sort of taken on now. And definitely quite a bit different than racing full time and being on the road, but one that we've, embraced and enjoyed, and love having the kids in school, and they're doing great. And still, enjoyed the racing this year, but it was, pretty refreshing to just not be consumed by it, and, living it and breathing it as our source of income, like we basically have over the last 20 years.
And Darren, you're the owner of Ultra Shield Race Products now. How has that business been going in? And like you said, this adjustment of going from full-time racer to now businessman, what has that been like?
It's been a challenge, a lot that I expected, a lot that I didn't expect, for sure. And obviously that's probably not going to change anytime soon. It's, I've got a lot to learn, and we rely very heavily on Robert and Donna, the old owners, and their son, Josh. So on a daily basis, and it's, definitely a lot still to learn. But, the great thing is the business was doing very, very well before we purchased it. We're still doing very well. Definitely we've tried to, work on some things that they've always done in the past, just kind of, from a fresh set of eyes, and how do we want to try to do them a little bit better. And then we've also, started going down some different paths as well, and some newer products and different lines of things that, I feel strongly about and feel like can be the future of the business. So it's definitely different than thinking about racing sprint cars every day, but still involved and love to communicate with the drivers and, try to figure out ways to, not only make them more comfortable, but obviously, safer behind the wheel as well.
Darren, that's kind of the direction I wanted to go with this next question. And there's like three of you that always kind of come to mind, your same age category, same situation. Joey was a year or two ahead of you guys. But then Shane Stewart found his passion at a little micro track in Oklahoma, that Tulsa, that seems to be going well. And yours with Ultra Shield. It seems to me, though, and in chatting with you in the past, safety, protection, innovation, that sort of thing. It seems to be you've altered your passion from maybe being behind the wheel, which you still enjoy, but you've been able to keep that passion because safety and innovation like this has always been part of your career as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done this for a long time, and I've seen, I started in the era when, we didn't have weight rules, and safety was, not even a topic of discussion. I mean, it was, some of the stuff we did back then was just insane, but it was all about weight and, how could we make our cars go faster? And if it, made us more dangerous, that was just part of it. So, and I just have seen our sport evolve from, a very not safety conscious, industry to, it's really shifted that way a lot. And, unfortunately, I think we all know the reasons why it has. And, I think a lot of the changes that have been made to our cars and, really just seats in general over the last 10, 12 years have really evolved into, much better products. And then the chassis changes, everything's going in the right direction, but, there's no reason to ever stop. And it's something that won't ever stop. And we can always learn something from every crash, whether or not somebody gets hurt or not. But there's obviously things that we can look at. But, I think to watch the sport change from my eyes that much, get hurt several times myself, unfortunately see other people get hurt. And, unfortunately, the loss of life that we've seen, just sort of has hit everybody a little bit different and has brought, a new light to our sport that we had some improvements that needed to be made. And so, like it said, it's something that I always enjoyed and or really found interesting. And okay, what can we do to make it better? And so I'm glad that I'm still involved in all. We don't build stuff just for sprint cars. It's actually one of our really smallest markets, but something that we're going to work really hard to change. But try to make everybody safer, whether or not it's in a modified or a dwarf car or, micro or whatever it is, if they're in our products, we want to just make them better.
What's it like? I had this conversation a few years ago, or years ago now, with Randy LaJoy when he started to get into the seat business. And he talked about the first time you walk in the pits when you're in the seat business, you notice so many things differently. What is it like? Do you, when you walk through a pit area, whether it's a sprint car pit or there's a side division or whatever it is, does your perspective changed a little bit as you look at these vehicles as you walk in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it changes just watching at home on my TV or on my phone. I mean, now every picture I see that pops up on Twitter, what do? I notice the guys that are in our stuff, and I notice our seats and in our seat belts, and so yeah, as a business owner, it's like if you buy a car. As soon as you buy a car, you didn't think there was that many of them out there until you bought it, and then it seems like every stoplight you're at, it seems like everybody's got one. So, from that standpoint, it's changed. But yeah, absolutely. When you're at the racetrack, there's a lot of things that I look at differently. Maybe before I was, I'm walking around looking at somebody's car, I might notice where he's got his wheels spaced or what kind of wings he's got on, or the specs of his wings or something. Now my first thoughts are, I look to the seats, I look to the belts, I look to the mounting, look to the angles of his belts, and you just start to notice things from a different light that affect our business and things that we know that are important that maybe that person isn't aware of.
Darren, how receptive have drivers been to your advice now on safety? I know I've talked to other people in the safety industry before, and they said it's always a fine line. You still have some people with the old school mentality. You have others that are willing to learn and change whatever needs to be done. Have you had to deal with any of that this year?
Yeah, I haven't. Honestly, I haven't been to a lot of races. Honestly, Devil's Bowl just this last weekend was, I think the second race that I went to since that I wasn't racing. So while, I went to 20, 25 races, most of the time I was there racing and was focused on that. And then, was trying to, would speak to customers and stuff as well. But yeah, Devil's Bowl was probably the first that I went just for, the standpoint of the business and wasn't thinking about racing or driving. And so I haven't had too much of an issue, but, absolutely, there's a fine line when you walk up and you see something that you feel, is adamantly wrong. It's tough to try to find a way to bring it up that's not insulting, because that's never the intention of, any conversation, is try to tell somebody they don't know what they're doing. But, it's trying to find the right way to, bring up, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? And this is why this is better, or why did you do it this way? And can I try to explain to you? And most people I feel like are, I've dealt with this with Dave Sharpley for quite some time, and it's a lot of it is they just don't know, and the fact that so many people just buy a chassis, or they buy a seat, and there's just no such thing as a one size fits all. I mean, Maxim or J&J or any chassis manufacturer, they can't build a car that fits Brad Sweet and Dale Blaney both, that comes out of the same, without certain things being changed. And, unfortunately, that's what happens is, people buy a car from a dealer and they'll just try to bolt the seat in with how it comes. And, you don't know the specs of how, what size driver that car was actually built for. And while it can be a pain to have to move things around, it is a necessity. And a lot of people, I think, are just uneducated on, what to look for and how things need to be done and how those things actually make them safer in the car. They think as long as their belts are attached, they're going to hold me in place. Well, the angles of all that stuff is extremely important and can have huge differences when you have a big crash.
It is. It's amazing. And I saw the video that you and Dave did a few years ago, and just the various way things are put together. There's so many details that can be so critical. That's for sure. You mentioned taking this a little bit away from the business onto the family side. I think I saw that you went out to Devil's Bowl, but the kids got a chance to go out there with you and catch up with everybody, all their old buddies did as well.
No, they didn't. We actually left them at home. My brother's kids are in town, and so they chose to stay home and play with their cousins. So actually that was just me and Mandy went out and delivered a few seats and got to spectate and catch up with everybody, which was nice. But no, my girls did miss that one for sure, and they actually didn't go to the National Open with us this year. They stayed home, so they hadn't been for a while. So they're definitely missing a few races. But so Chili Bowl will probably be the next one on their list that they'll definitely make. So they definitely have done really well in school. Surprisingly, we've been extremely happy with how they're doing with such a big lifestyle change of being home, and they've done great. But trust me, every once in a while we definitely hear that they miss the motorhome and miss traveling and miss going to the race.
I can imagine that. What a life change, yeah, for sure.
I think the last time we spoke, you mentioned that maybe Mandy wasn't dealing with the change as well as you were. How has that been? Like the lifestyle change for the kids being in school, but for both of you to be home and not traveling all the time, it really had to, like you said, be a big change.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's done well. It's just, we didn't appreciate, I can speak for both of us, I think very confidently that we did not appreciate how much downtime that we had. And that's gone. So, we're just busier than we've ever been. We expected that, to some degree, but, I enjoy it. And it's just taken, a little bit of time for us to, try to find that right balance between work and, spending time with our kids so that we do get to see them and do things with them. And, they were used to being with us, all day, every day. And so now they're gone to school, and as soon as they get home from school, they come to the shop for a few hours. So it's just been a big adjustment, but, everybody's doing well and, trying to find that right balance of, work and family life, as I'm sure, everybody struggles with on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's just life. It just is. One thing that hasn't changed, though, is the Pittman Halloween video. Okay. Now, of course, a couple years, Darren, you were the star of the show and maybe the all-time greatest sprint car Halloween video ever, still in the running for sure. But this time it looked like kids and music were involved in it, right?
Yeah, it honestly never crossed my mind until I started checking my phone and I saw Shannon tweeted something about that, and I totally forgot. But no, we didn't really participate in dressing up this year, but we did have our cousins in town, and so they were all inflatables this year, and they had a great time. And it was funny because my daughter Taylor had a little school dance for a few hours the other week, and so she came home and she learned some of these new older line dances, whatever. So she was showing them off to Katie. Well, it was funny because Katie was trying on her costume that night, and so just to see their inflatables move like that was funny. So that when they all put them on, they wanted to do it and do a video. So it was we got a lot of laughs and enjoyment out of it, and they had a great time. And we'll definitely probably have to try to participate a little bit better next year for Halloween.
Yeah, based off the social media response, I think you were missed this year in the video. So, Darren, we've talked personal life, we've talked business. We haven't talked much about the racing part of it. I picked up a win at Port Royal this year. Obviously, the part-time thing was working. Is that something you see doing more of in the future, or is it difficult to only race occasionally?
It's difficult. I don't know if it was difficult to only race occasionally. It was actually difficult for us to get away to even race, as part-time as we did. But, I do still want to focus on that. I still feel like, I need to have a presence at the racetrack from, even from our business standpoint. I think there's some things that I want to be there and have a presence to try to expand some stuff that we're working on. And it's, it's going to be more difficult to do if I just stay back here and at the shop in Texas. So I do still want to race, and that's, it's all about trying to find that right balance. Same thing. It's, between work, family, and then trying to go racing sometime. And, what are we giving up? As far as can we stay as productive, while we're gone, as busy as we are. So I definitely have the desire to keep racing. We have not really discussed it, as far as next year as to what we're going to have time to do. My hopes were that, after the move and everything kind of settled in, I'd be able to possibly race at least the same amount, if not maybe a little bit more. Truthfully, I definitely don't see racing more as an option, it would probably be hopefully the same, maybe even a little bit less. But I definitely would like to just keep going to races, maybe even the ones that I'm not running in, and just being able to actually, talk to competitors and, customers away from driving, and, just really shift our focus more to, how do we improve our products and get more people on them, and just create the awareness and some of the things that we're trying to do with Ultra Shield. So it's hard because when you do race part-time, and, we were able to win a race and did have some success this year, at some big races, still have the desire to compete. But at the same time, I've got desire to make sure that we focus on our business and put it first.
3 top 5 finishes, including a third at the Kings Royal, that win at Port Royal the night before the Tusky with the All-Stars. Darren, is there a different level? I can't imagine what it's like when you pulled on the stage at Port Royal after winning. Is there a different level of appreciation? You talk about taking for granted the amount of time you had. Is there a different level of appreciation at this point when you get a win like you did that night?
I don't think so. I think, I feel like, Reeve Truck said it best. When I drove for him with Titan, you lose way more races than you win. So you better take advantage of the ones you win and enjoy them, because that's what keeps you coming back. I mean, you've got to remember that, so you've got to celebrate those. And he was very adamant about that. And I there's a lot of truth to that. It's a frustrating, humbling sport. And when you're definitely always going to lose way more. So, I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I appreciated it. I think, just the biggest thing is it was fun. This year was just so much different in that, I could show up and drive and race. And when I was at the racetrack, I felt very, committed to what I was doing and wanted to compete and still had that drive. But the best part about it was whether or not we won or lost. Honestly, by middle of the next day, I had already sort of turned off the racing and shifted back to, the business, and, really didn't think about, what do we need to do to make our car better until I probably got on a flight to the next race. So that was the best part about driving for Kevin. He handled all that, and it was nice to just show up and make sure that I had my suit and had tear off, and then paid attention to the racetrack and tried to hit my marks the best I could when I was there. So I'm sure it, probably affected my performance some, but I still felt like, when our car was good, we could still compete at a high level.
Yeah, you certainly did. That's for sure. Well, Darren, we love when we get a chance to catch up with you. We love the family aspect of it, the life after racing aspect with the business, and the continued racing as well. We appreciate you taking some time and joining us here today on Wing Nation.
Thanks, guys. Always appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we can continue this for years to come. And whether or not it's for stuff behind the wheel or stuff with the business, that we're excited and the direction that it's going, and excited about some of the guys that we're hopefully going to see in our stuff here really soon.
Neat. Oh, that's encouraging. Mm-hmm. That sounds really good. Congratulations again. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Oh, sounds like he's working on some
I
friends.
saw a little picture of Donnie Schatz where you're using an Ultra Shield seat in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, and I saw Lance DeWeese was using one when they were at the Grove.
Not a shocker there. Not a shocker at all. That's cool. I always worry about racers when it comes time to slow down or stop racing.
Me too.
Well, yeah. Well,
they worried about me for a little bit there.
Well, we still worry about you but that's on another front.
That's a little different.
No, seriously,
now.
Because it's like the
hard adjustment.
It's all you lived for, dreamed about, sleep, and drink.
Yeah.
And it's the way it was for Darren, and then you get the motor coach life, and then
time.
So that's all him, and then Mandy and him did,
mm-hmm.
and then the kids, and that's all of them did.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. And I love seeing people find other avenues.
Yeah.
I mentioned Joey, even Paul has the gig at Quick Car. Yeah. Seth Bergman, we talked to him on Tuesday, has
mm-hmm.
the coffee shop and everything. I understand this, and I have the same passion for racing, but there comes a time, especially when you're a driver, when you get to that point where it's just time to do something else. And I love that our guys are finding their passion, that scratches their itch for racing and staying in racing.
Yeah.
Because a guy like Daryn Pittman is too valuable not to be in racing.
Yep.
Yeah, no, so fun stuff, that's for sure. Stay with us, more Wing Nation in just a moment. Over the years, Dryden has stood for uncompromised value and proven performance. Known as the hardest working brand in heavy-duty lubrication, Dryden's heritage is made in America and made to last. Dryden products work to increase the life and enhance the efficiency of your equipment in the toughest conditions. Learn more about Dryden's products at Dryden.com. From grassroots racing to NASCAR, Dryden is a proud supporter of racing everywhere. For a year-round high-quality eating experience, look no further than Sage Fruit apples, pears, and cherries. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking. Get back into NASCAR's roots by driving headfirst into the new home of grassroots racing. Flow Racing keeps the original NASCAR tradition of dirt track racing roaring with more than 1,300 live and on-demand oval races from across the United States. Subscribe today by going to flowracing.com/MRN. Learn how the next generation of NASCAR drivers is prospected in sprint car racing or watch the thrill of last lap slide jobs. Subscribe today by going to flowracing.com/GoMRN. Wing Nation, presented by Dryden, and DRF Racing Oils continues on. Let's take a look at our National Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar. Quiet week, the early part of the week. Tomorrow, Hiram Hillegas. Okay, today, Alan Brown, that's the Speedway Directory guy. Kenny Weld would have had a birthday today, and today would have been the birthday of 1995 National Sprint Car Hall of Fame inductee Don Smith. Don was a lifelong resident of Terre Haute, Indiana. 1941, he went to his first race. Then they shut down racing because the war happened. 1952, Terre Haute, the racetrack was built in 1948. Don was a local businessman around that area. In 1952, they asked him to line up a Auto Club of America race. He did. He also at that time formed a Sumar racing team with a gentleman by the name of Chapman Root.
We used to have one of their cars.
You used to have a Chapman Root car?
Yeah.
We used to work with Preston Root. He
Yep.
used to be one of our guys, and I didn't put it all together for the longest time, and then realized that his family is iconic in the sprint car world. So Don was a partner with Chapman on the car. 1953 to 1980, he was the director of competition at Terre Haute. And boy, you remember Terre Haute in this era.
Oh,
the
yeah.
100, the Tony Hulman Classic on ABC's Wide World of Sport. Man, I remember that as a kid. We would know that was on, and we'd always watch that and then just go right straight in the car and go straight to 5 Mile Point Speedway. It was like that day was like we had that baby pinpointed right out. Popcorn was made, everything was good. Tony Hulman Classic on Wide World of Sports. As soon as they went to the Acapulco cliff diving or whatever else they had on, boom, right out the door we went. So Toby Tobias won one of those races on TV. He was also the race director for a while at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. A successful banker, sponsored cars. He served on the IRL board. He served on the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame board. Passed away in 2017, but his life and his contributions will forever be enshrined at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. And we talked about Don on this, which would have been his birthday. So one sprint car place in Knoxville, Iowa. Erin, they have a raffle coming up for a sprint car that you're going to get for me.
I am. I'm going to buy lots of tickets, and you can too. It's a Triple X chassis Moyle Racing Engine 410. It's the 14th raffle car that the Hall of Fame has done, and all proceeds go to the Hall of Fame. $20 per ticket, $6 for $100.
SprintCarHof.com, SprintCarHof.com. Sprint Car Stuff is their gift shop. Makes great Christmas gifts. Yes, you know about that place. You own a wing to the gift store after you and Kate went out there. My gosh, I walked in after you guys were done there, and the cash register was smoking. Like, holy cow, who was here? She said,
I was supporting the Hall of Fame.
Yes, you were supporting the Hall of Fame. Yes, exactly. This weekend, of course, the big one is the NTK World Finals. Starts tonight. Obviously, if you're tuning us live or catching us here on Thursday, qualifying day, Friday and Saturday, the big races are coming up. Brad Sweet needs to just show up here in Cabarrus County to win the championship. Want to highlight a little bit what we have going on tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, that is, tomorrow and Saturday. It is Wing Nation presented by, or Dry Dean Wing Nation from the stage. It'll be on the Dirt Vision and Wing Nation Facebook pages. Live shows with you and
the Ashley and Erin extravaganza.
The Ashley and Erin extravaganza. Exactly.
Newly named.
The Ashley and Erin extravaganza. Batting down the hatches, Shane Stewart, Gary Madsen, Danny Dietrich, Brent Marks. How about Brent Marks' new deal?
Oh, yeah.
We have been wearing that sucker out about that. He finally announced it on Monday that he's got his new deal, which I had heard. I didn't know all the names and everything, but boy, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a nice looking car.
Marks. It's a good looking. Yeah. Smokey Madden, Boom Briggs, Tyler Courtney, Logan Schuart, our buddy Dave Klinger with Dry Dean, Donnie Schatz, Parker Price Miller, Spencer Baston, Matt Shepard, Billy Pouch Jr., Carson Macedo, David Gravel, Brad Street, and a list of others as well. Mm-hmm. It's going to be great.
You never know what you're going to get.
There's the reason. You never know what you're going to get with a Dry Dean Wing Nation, and then you throw in that it's an Ashley and Erin extravaganza. Stay tuned. Going to be good. If you're at the dirt track, make sure you go over. If you're not at the dirt track, make sure you tune into the Facebook Live feeds for Dirt Vision and for Wing Nation at the 2:00 Eastern Time on Friday and Saturday. King of the West NARC Series, the season finale, the Gary Patterson Tribute Races at the Stockton Dirt Track. Dominic Scelzi, similar to Brad Sweet, just needs to start to win the championship. What a year they've had out there. 20 races. After last year, they were only able to get 4 in.
Yeah.
I think the phrase bounce back is very applicable to the King of the West.
Yeah.
They seem to have survived, and in complete honesty, the pandemic, you wondered in California if they didn't put them out of commission. And it did temporarily, but I'm telling you, when they came back this year with the King of the West, man, did they come back with a vengeance. Yeah. They came back strong, and it's good to see Dominic Scelzi, and then the Sprint Car Challenge Tour will be on the track as well. Pete Walton, well, he scheduled races because it's Pete Walton and he schedules races. 2 nights at Hendry County in Florida. And Saturday is Bridgeport. If you're up in Pennsylvania up there, can't make it down if you're in the Northeast, go out to Bridgeport and see URC race on Saturday. Getting down there, though, on the races, that's for sure.
Short list,
for sure. Yeah, we're even down to less than a handful for Pete Walton.
Well, so far.
Well, that's true.
Subject to change.
He might add some. Yeah, exactly. Fun catching up with Daryn Pittman.
It always is.
And love it. If we referenced the Halloween video, you need to just go check that out. The kids doing line dancing was fun. Good stuff. But fun catching up with Daryn Pittman. Wing Nation Gear and Apparel is available at www.wingnation.com. That's wingnation.com. We are gearing up for a busy off season. Of course, you can follow along with us on Twitter and Facebook, but our YouTube page as well. We are doing a Dry Dean Salute to Champions. And so I think we're going to have a dozen or so champions throughout the course of the off season where get a chance to sit down and talk about their season and keeps us going during the off season.
Yeah.
So Dry Dean Salute to Champions will be coming up during the off season. Coming up this weekend, Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit, our television show. Gary Scelzi joins us. Yes, absolutely. I think, as a matter of fact, I think I can safely say there is one edit that needed to be done.
I was going to say, was there any
there was one. I was walking away and I heard Craig stick his head into Steve, our producer of that, or Craig's our producer. Steve's the one that puts it all together there. And I heard him say to Steve, you need to edit this as far as that goes. So
only one.
I think there's one. I think there's only one.
Pretty clean then.
I think it was pretty clean. Yeah, I think Gary was on his best behavior.
Yeah.
Gary, a great story. And we talk about this. Gary, and it wasn't all that well known, had a stroke some time ago. And so he was kind of low key with it and everything like that. Well, he's all right, which is good. He's back and he's all right. We talk a little bit about that. It's a good visit with Gary, that's for sure. But good old school, old fashioned Gary Scelzi is back 100%, and he will join us this weekend on our Sage Fruit show. So again, we appreciate Daryn Pittman for joining us. More important than all of that, though, thank you for joining us here on Wing Nation, presented by Dry Dean and DRF Racing Oil.